Let's look at how things might play out here in Parliament over the next week, joined by Maddy Thimont Jack, a researcher from the Institute for Government. And let's just talk about the first thing after we've heard from Theresa May, the amendments, which are increasingly important as we know more about the parliamentary procedure. How many? What do we think is going to happen?
So there have been 7 amendments that have been tabled, and the Speaker will select however many he thinks is best to put to a vote. The key one that everyone's been talking about today is the one from Oliver Letwin, a Conservative MP, and it's the sort of thrust of that amendment is about trying to take control of the parliamentary timetable to allow time to have something sort of akin to indicative votes on alternative options for Brexit.
I'll come to indicative votes in a moment.
Yep.
But you mentioned the Speaker. We still don't know whether he will allow Theresa May to bring her meaningful vote back for a third time. He's already said that unless there's a change, he's minded not to.
Yeah, that's right. So we don't know that he'll let another vote happen. I think the government will be hoping, there's been a lot of speculation about the fact that now we know that there is an extension to Article 50, that the UK will not be leaving the EU until at least the 12th of April. That might be enough to sort of allow the circumstances to be slightly different so that when MPs vote on the deal again, if they vote on the deal again this week, it will be a different question that they'll be voting on.
Right, let's talk about indicative votes. What on earth are they? How do they work? What do they do?
Well, I mean, firstly, that there is not one clear way to hold indicative votes, to be honest. But the idea behind them is a sort of to allow a way to vote on different options for how the UK might leave the EU. So, for example, you could have a vote on leaving without a deal. You could have a vote on whether to revoke Article 50. You could have a vote on whether to stay part of the single market. And the sort of concept is to have a series of motions that you vote on in turn rather than amendments, so that you can sort of vote on more than one option if you chose. And the idea is to try and find an option that might have a majority in the House of Commons.
And would that be on a free vote basis?
Well, there's been a lot of speculation about that. The Prime Minister hasn't said that it would be on a free vote basis, but if you really are trying to find a majority in the House of Commons, it would make sense to allow MPs to have a free vote so that you can see what sort of option might get a majority.
Now, let's work on the basis that that doesn't get them anywhere. That means that Theresa May can then say, right, well, you've got nowhere, let's have one more go at my vote.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the options for the timetabling of the week, is to have indicative votes on Wednesday, not to get a majority for anything else. That might persuade some MPs in her party or even in the Labour Party to actually vote in favour of the Prime Minister's deal when it comes back. And again, that might be enough of, if you have had indicative votes and all other options have been rejected, then that might also allow the Speaker to say, well, we are in a different circumstance, so having a vote on her deal does make sense because MPs don't want anything else.
Lots of talk over the weekend, coups and plots at very high level against the Prime Minister, none of which seems to have come to fruition today. But there is a sense that a general election is never far away from being a possibility here.
Well, that was something that Stephen Barclay, the Brexit Secretary, actually said, that if you do hold indicative votes, then that will lead to a general election. So clearly there are, members of the Cabinet who are sort of speculating or concerned that that might be the next step. I think the Prime Minister's in a very odd position, in my view. Before Christmas, we had a confidence vote within her party, where the Conservative Party said that they did have faith in her as a leader. In January, we also had a confidence vote in the government, in Parliament, where again, the Parliament have voted to say they have confidence in the government. So she sort of is really struggling to get her main policy through Parliament, but at the moment, she technically has the confidence of her party and a Parliament. So it might be that if Parliament really are frustrated and don't see another way forward, that an option would be to table another confidence vote and sort of try and get to a general election.
Maddy, here we are on another Monday morning, not really knowing how the week is going to pan out.
I mean, that's completely right. We might have a meaningful vote, we might not. We're also expecting potentially a vote on a statutory instrument needed to change the exit day in UK law. So that's another Brexit vote that should be happening this week in Parliament. And tonight we've got a vote on potentially a couple of interesting amendments. And again, we don't actually know how they're going to play out. So I would say, we don't know where we're going to be at the end of the week. We hope we'll be closer to a bit more clarity, but I don't think it's necessarily guaranteed.
How many weeks have we said that? Maddy, thank you very much. Maddy Thimont Jack from the Institute for Government. Thank you.